سلام بینندگان عزیز، من ناهید نبیستم. با شما از تلویزیون عقب تلویزیونایتان هستین امروز و من امروز راجع به یک موضوع خیلی مهم دارم صحبت میکنم براتان و من خوشحالم که امروز توی این استودیو هستم و وقت گرفتم و وقت برای من پیدا شد که من امروز بیام و این خوشخبری را به تمام مادرها و پدرای عزیز من این خوشخبری را برای شماها بدم. خوشخبری من اینه که من توی یک سنتر رفتم که یکی از دوستام بچهش خیلی با از نگاه ریدینگ و رایدینگ و متش خوب نبود و من این دختره رفته توی وبسایت و این مسئله LearningRx ها خود این دختر نازنین پیدا کرد و گفت که من میخوام برم این توی سنتر ترینینگ بگیرم. وقتی من اونجا رفتم با دکتر ایدن و با خانم سندرا، اینا دکترای هستند و که کمک میکنن با برین بچه ها که بچه هایی که عقب مانده هستند و بچه هایی که اصلا از نگاه مت و خواندن و نشته کردن و از نگاه بیهیویر که یعنی بیهیویرشان مثلا خودشان خیلی بزرگن، مثلا یعنی بادیشان بزرگه اما به مغزشان با اون صورت مثل بادی بزرگ نشده و مغزشان کوچولو مانده. و من رفتم با این سنتر صحبت کردم و واقعا کار اینا را من خوشم آمد و مریضایی که اونجا بودن، کسایی که توی این سنتر می آمدن، من همه را اونجا دیدم و به چشم خود اینا ویتنسایز هستن که اینا سنتری هستن که با برین بچه ها به نام LearningRx یاد میشه این سنتر و این پروگرام و این ترینینگی که هستش. این خیلی مفیده برای بچه هایی که عقب مانده هستن و بچه هایی که شای هستن و به درسای خود خوب نیستن، اینا دارن کمک میکنن. و من با خانم سندرا دارم اینترویو دارم امروز که برای شما معلومات های راجع به LearningRx براتان بده که چقدر اینا با بچه ها کمک کردن. و یکی از اون چیزها را که من میخوام براتان بگویم که یک آقای که توی موتورسیکل اکسیدنت کرده بودن و این آقا شده بود 4 سالش، یعنی از نگاه مغزی شده بود 4 سالش و در حالی که این آقا بود 30 سالش و این برین اینا را ترین کردن و مغز اینا را ترین کردن که این آقا از سن 4 سالگی پس به سن 30 سالگی خود آمد و به خانم بچه های خود پس زندگی نرمال خود شروع کرد. من واقعا امروز خیلی خوشحالم که برای من امروز وقتی آمده که من این خبر خوشا به تمام مادرای دنیا و تمام پدرهای دنیا این خبر خوشا بدم که راه هستش، چاره هستش که بچه‌ای که عقب ماندن و خواندن و نوشتنشان درست نیست و بیهیویرشان درست نیست و مثلا خودشان بزرگن، خیلی سنسیتیفن، خیلی حساسن و نمیتونن که با تنهایی ها زندگی کنن، نمیتونن که با خودشان کمک کنن و همیشه ضرورت دارن که مامان و بابا باشون کمک کنه. و من اینو دارم کمک میکنم بر جامعه افغانی و جامعه ایرانی که من با شماها دارم خبر و پیام خوش دارم که این LearningRx سنتر یگانه سنتر هستش که با تمام بچه ها و حتی کسایی که بزرگسال هم هستن میخوان که برین خود را ترینینگ بگیرن و میخوان که با تستای مدرسه خود موفق شوند و یونیورسیتی برن نمرات خوب بگیرن و بتونن که به خیلی آسانی و خوبی بتونن که این درس خود ادامه بدن و به تحصیل خود ادامه بدن. این LearningRx یگانه سنتری هستش که باشان داره کمک میکنه و من امروز با خانم سندرا توی اینترویو هستم و با ایشان دارم صحبت میکنم. آمدم عقب تلویزیون که من با ایرانی های عزیز خود و با افغان های عزیز که با تمام هر کنج کنار دنیا شما مرا از طریق تلویزیون شما مرا نگاه میکنین و میشنوین من خیلی خوشحال هستم که این اینترویو را با خانم سندرا امروز داشته باشم و حالا خانم سندرا میاد و من باشان این تمام از نگاه LearningRx ها اینترویو میکنم و سوالات ازشان دارم که اونا جوابایی که اونا دارن به انگلیسی باهاتون حتما صحبت میکنن. منتها من شروع این پروگرام با فارسی شروع کردم که هموطنان من، همزبانان خودم با تمام سر دنیا با زبان فارسی و ایرانی آشنا هستند حرف مرا بشنون و این پیام خوب مرا و خوش منو بگیرن و انشالله که من بتانم محضر خدمت با تمام ایرانی ها و افغان ها و تمام همسایه های خود نزدیکان خود من شوم که بتانم از این طریقه واقعا بتانم کمک شوم برای همه افغان ها و ایرانی ها که توی سراسر امریکا یا خود ایران عزیز یا افغانستان عزیز زندگی میکنن. این پیام مرا شما همه تان بشنوین. انشالله الله خانم سندرا تشریف میارن و من میتونم که باشن اینترویو کنم و فعلا من با شما خداحافظی میکنم و این خانم سندرا انشالله توی خدمتتان هستیم و من فعلا منتظر خانم سندرا هستم که بیاین و ما باشن اینترویو کنم. سلام بینندگان بسیار عزیز و محترم، اسم من ناهید نبی است و من از طریق TV Times TV با شما دارم صحبت میکنم و من امروز برنامه رو برای شما آمادگی کردم که واقعا thousands of the kids نید داره و ضرورت داره به این چیزی که من امروز دربارش دارم با شماها صحبت میکنم. و بازم سلام و احترامات منو در هر کنج دنیا که هستین من برای شما سلام میفرستم و من خیلی خوشحالم که امروز توی پای تلویزیون با شما دارم صحبت میکنم و از خانم خیلی عزیزی که اینا LearningRx ها دارن درباره صحبت میکنن من ازشان سوالایی میکنم و خودشان براتون خود معرفی میکنه که امروز ما درباره خیلی چیزای مهمه درباره بچه ها، درباره ادالت و درباره تمام چیزایی برای شما انفارمیشن داریم و صحبت داریم که خداوند کنه که این پروگرامی که ما امروز داریم به همه دوستان و عزیزان و بچه ها و بزرگان و هر کسی که با این ضرورت داره ما بتانیم محضر خدمت شوم و باشان بتانم از طریق تلویزیون و از طریق LearningRx باشان کمک کنم. خانم سندرا, please explain to all over Iranian and Afghan people what you having today for us to helping all our kids and adult and everybody all over the world. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sandra Brookhart, and I'm the Executive Director for LearningRx in Newport Beach and Anaheim Hills. And thank you so much, Nahid, for having me today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate all the work that you're doing with us to help spread the word about brain training. So what we want to talk about today is brain training and what it is and why it's important. I know we had talked about some of the clients that have come in, and we talked about some of the stories that they have of before and after brain training. And so we definitely want to share those with all of y'all today. We also want to talk a little bit about how brain training works, what it is, and the fact that it actually makes physiological changes in the structures of the brain that are permanent and can improve all of our thinking skills, like our memory and our visual processing, logic and reasoning, and those kind of things. I'll start actually by telling my own story of my son who started struggling in school in the first grade. And by the third grade, we were in a very bad situation where he hated going to school. And I felt like the worst mom in the world because I had to make him go. And he said, "Mom, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, nobody likes me." And no matter how hard he tried, he was not able to do well. So I found out about LearningRx I actually was working there as a trainer at the time, so I had my son tested, and I learned that he had a few cognitive weaknesses. His short-term memory was a little bit weak compared to other kids his age. His processing speed was slow, and his logic and reasoning skills were a little bit slow compared to other kids his age. So this just made it very difficult for him to learn some things like math, for example. Yes. We would drill the math facts. We would drill and drill, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 3 is 15. And then I would say, how much is 3 times 5? And he'd say, I don't know. I have no idea. So it was making me crazy, right?
Yes.
Anyway, I found out about LearningRx. I had him tested, and he went through one of our cognitive training programs. Our training programs can last anywhere from 3 months to 9 months or longer. And the kids usually come in 2 to 3 times a week for about an hour and a half. And they go through specific procedures that are targeted to improve these skills, to actually help rewire the brain, to help strengthen neural pathways in the brain. So I put my son in a 6-month program at the end of his 4th grade. And we just saw amazing changes for our whole family because we were no longer arguing about homework.
Yes.
He was happy to go to school. He was motivated to try. He got a math award in middle school, which was just excellent, and we were so pleased. And he's a junior in high school now and still doing quite well. So just the experience of the LearningRx brain training program was really a game changer for us. And would you like me to share another story? Or
yes,
did
please.
You have a,
please.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
My question was really was this one. I was wanted to asking you to ask, explain for community of all from Afghanistan and all over the world. Today they are seeing you behind their TVs, and they are very happy to listen to this program because a lot of people in here is misdiagnosed in the schools and high schools, and they are titling them or they are giving them a wrong names, which
yes,
is I'm
true.
talking about that. So that's why when the first time I'm coming walking on your center, and I saw this program, and I interesting to be giving this good news all over to the world for all mothers and fathers and the people caring for their kids. And I wanted to give this news for all over the world, not in a Persian community or Afghan community. I wanted to spread this word for all over the world. To the people have to getting a help from you, and you're gonna help them, and they're gonna be very happy and having successful life.
Yes,
on their list of life living.
You raise a very important point about misdiagnoses,
Yes.
and I'll just say a few more things about my own son. In that the school thought that he was possibly on the autism spectrum scale. They thought he was probably attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder. There were a lot of things that the school was telling me that I should, have him tested. And what we learned was that none of those diagnoses fit for him. He had a couple of cognitive weaknesses, and once those were fixed, then he was able to just, go on and have a normal life and a normal education.
Yes. Yes.
So, and just to talk about a few more, stories, is that not only does this work for kids that are struggling in school with attention deficit or reading issues, but also for more complex situations like traumatic brain injury.
Yes.
I know I told you the story of one of our clients, a 32-year-old man that was in a motorcycle accident, and he was in a coma for a year. And when he came out of the coma, his cognitive skills, his mentality was about equivalent of a 4-year-old. So he was not able to take care of his family. He was not able to take care of his children or work. He went through all of the standard rehabilitation that is available. And then he came to LearningRx. And it took a while, but after a good year or so of training, this man was able to achieve a level of cognition where he was able to go back to work, do his job, take care of his kids and his family. So it was just an amazing recovery. In fact, there's a book about it called Vital Connections, and I think they're working on making it into a movie. It's such a wonderful story. And we see these kind of life-changing situations every day with the LearningRx programs.
بینندگان بسیار عزیز و محترم، این استوری و قصه‌ای که خانم سندرا کردن، آقایی که با ماشین اکسیدنت کرده بودن و اینا انجر شده بود برینشان و برینشان قسم انجری پیدا کرده بود که آقایی که 30 سالش بود شد 4 سالش یا 5 سالش و acting looked like 4 years or 5 years old. اینا توی سنتری که خانم سندرا صحبت کردن، اینا با توسط ترینینگ هایی که داشتن این آقا را ترین کردن و بعد از یک مدت این آقا از سن 4 و 5 سالگی برینش پس توی فانکشن نورمال فانکشنینگ استارت کرد و شد 30 سالش و پس برای خانواده خود کمک کردن رو شروع کرد، به زن بچه هاش رسید و همه کارش به این حسابه که اینا ترین کردن برینشا. اون آقا توی زندگی معمولی و طبیعی خود بس استارت کرد. خانم سندرا, I want to ask you, the book, you're talking about the book. What is the name of the book? And it's available in the market to people gonna getting and reading that, or we can they can order it through us. This book they can see the testimonial of this brain injury to the guy who was having a car accident or motorcycle accident. And losing the brain and going back to acting like a 4 years old, and he became back to the 30 years old and normal life and normal functioning. And can they have access for that book or some CDs, or which way they can learn and know about our LearningRx, from which website and which way they can go and find out about us, more information?
Sure. The Vital Connections book certainly is available through us, and I actually believe Amazon is also carrying it. There's another publication that's great called How to Unlock the Einstein Inside. And this is a story of LearningRx. It talks about Dr. Ken Gibson, who created the LearningRx programs.
Yes.
There's been a good 100,000 people that have been through LearningRx programs nationwide. There are about 85 locations in the United States and around 40 locations internationally. And we've collected data before and after for, like I said, about 100,000 people that have been through these programs. And so what we know is that our programs are very efficient and they get great results. Typically in a short program we see a gain in IQ of 15 to 20 points or more, and certainly great gains in skills. So Unlock the Einstein Inside is actually available free as a download from the LearningRx.com website. And so I would encourage all of you to go and download that book. There's some great suggestions in there for some training that you can do at home if you have an idea or a suspicion that you or your children may be having some difficulty with some weak cognitive skills.
I have another question,
Sure.
Sandra. This is LearningRx. The location we are having, which location the nearest for community of Iranians in Irvine or in Lake Forest or all over the South Orange County, where they're going to come. And as far as the insurance, is that which insurances or what kind of insurance is going to cover for this, or they can pay it out of the pocket to getting this training? And it's sessions, or is it monthly, or approximately yearly? I just wanted to explain to the the people is watching us and explain and informationing as far as the which medical or which insurance accepting with LearningRx.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
I want to back up just a little bit,
Yes.
and we'll talk just a little bit about how a program is delivered,
Working.
which you had asked about.
Yes.
Again, making these physiological changes in the structures of the brain to improve memory or attention or processing speed, any of those things, it requires usually 4 hours a week or so for a period of at least 3 months. A good analogy is if you wanted to be able to lift 100 pounds. You would go to the gym and you would start where you're at right now, and you would work a little bit heavier weights every time that you go, and you would be very consistent with your training, and that would allow you to reach a goal. And then once you reach the goal, you can sort of go into a maintenance zone to maintain that ability. So it's very much the same thing with brain training. Typically the families come in 2 to 3 times a week for an hour and a half, again, for a period of about 3 months at least, sometimes longer. We currently have centers at Fashion Island in Newport Beach, and we also have a center in Anaheim Hills at the 91 in Imperial. Those are our 2 locations right now. We do have a training center as well at Westlake Village, which is up near Thousand Oaks, and that's available for training.
I see.
Yes. I see. As far as insurance coverage, at this point, unfortunately, insurance companies are still not feeling that cognitive development or cognitive rehabilitation or cognitive training is medically necessary in situations where there's a learning disorder or learning challenge. Where there's a traumatic brain injury or concussion or age-related cognitive decline, such as Alzheimer's or something like that. Many times insurance will cover the treatment. Typically, we just have to go through that process of talking with your insurance company to see if they cover it, how much of it will they cover, and what are their requirements in order to cover it. Sometimes they require progress reports and different kinds of things like that. So we definitely will work with you the best we can to try to get insurance coverage for you if that's at all possible.
I see. Thank you, Mrs. Sandra. And also, I have another question from you. It's the autism. Yes. We are talking about autistic kids. Autistic kids, they are diagnosed by autism, and some of them is a very high functioning, and some of them is very low functioning. And I'm asking you, is that also this RX Learning Center, when the people coming with the autistic, maybe high functioning or low functioning, how much that LearningRx is going to help them, and how much % they become too close to the normal?
That's a very good question. We do work with a lot of kids that are on the spectrum. And there are some great results reports available, again, on that website, LearningRx.com. With autism spectrum disorders, as well as with attention deficit, the same part of the brain is affected, which is the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and also the working memory capacity. We find that pretty consistently in those diagnoses, that there's usually a weakness in working memory and often a weakness in processing speed. So by improving those skills, we typically see a significant reduction in the symptoms that are associated with spectrum disorders, as well as with attention deficit. And those are permanent physiological changes to the structures of the brain, as I said. So typically that symptomology goes away and stays away. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, yes. And also the people with age voice.
Oh, good. That's
For example, there's another question I have. If the person is mentally not growing, but physically they are growing. For example, kids or boy or girl, they are grown up, their body is grown up, but their mind acting like, maybe they are 20 years old, but they are acting look like 5 years old, and they are having a babyish brain.
Yeah.
And then which way that LearningRx is helping those people to become functioning normal, and how much % they are going to be closing the gap between the ages?
Well, again, a good example was our gentleman with the traumatic brain injury.
Yes.
In the case of a developmental delay, like you're talking about here, definitely all of the same science is behind that. What we learned many years ago, and is supported by a significant amount of research, is that the brain will rewire itself, and that you can force the development of the neural networks in the brain through targeted exercises. So always we start with an assessment to see exactly where the skills are. And regardless of the person's physiological age, we look at their mental capacity and where they're functioning on a cognitive level. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and so typically in a cognitive profile we will see some strengths at age equivalent, and then we may see some that are below age equivalent, some that are significantly below age equivalent. And so in treatment, as far as we look at how long it will take to reach the goal, in situations where we're starting with a very low profile or with many years to cover, then we're looking at a longer time of training, perhaps a year, or like with our gentleman with the TBI, that was a little over a year of training for him.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
And my other question is from you, Mrs. Sandra. The people is with phobia. For example, they are scared from the high.
Scared of heights or something?
Heights, and scared from to be alone, and scared to be to be very attached with the family. For example, with a mother or with a part of the family, and that boy or girl want to be always attached with your mother, like a baby, infant baby, to coming in the world, and they need always their mother to be next. And I just wanted to ask, is that possible to be in this area also? LearningRx going to help?
Yes, our behavioral responses to any given situation are very much impacted by the level of working memory capacity that we have, which is also that executive function part of the brain that controls the other processes. So certainly our emotional responses, the way that we handle fears, all of those things are connected to that working memory capacity and the development of that part of the brain. So just like in other areas, yes, we can focus and force development of that part of the brain so that it is checking the filing cabinet and getting the correct information and and updating and getting an appropriate behavioral response to the situation.
I see. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sandra. You're coming today here. بینندگان بسیار عزیز و محترم، از تایم شما که شما عقب تلویزیونایتان نشستین و مرا سیل میکنین و نگاه میکنین و این پروگرامی که ما آوردیم که به تمام دنیا کمک شوم و ما کوشش میکنم که تا حد قدرت دارم که تمامی بچه هایی که واقعا به کمک ضرورت دارن و به کمک مثل سندرا ضرورت دارن و به این سنتری که واقعا زیادتر مردم ها که خودم بودم نمیفهمیدم درباره از این پروگرام که این پروگرام اگزیست میکنه که پارت برین اینا اگر یک پارت برین کار نمیکنه دیگه پارت برین اینا لایتینگ میدن و انفارمیشن به او برین میدن و ترینشان میکنن که چه قسم بچه های ما شما و همه نفرایی که از کسایی که ادالت هستن این پروگرام میتونه که باشون کمک بکنه و یک پروگرس بسیار خوب بیدن از مکتبای خود، از مدرسای خود و از کسی که مثلا به هر چیزی که سلو هستش و نمیتونه که واقعا فانکشنشان درست باشه. این یگانه پروگرام است LearningRx که برای همه شما کمک میکنه و ما در خدمت شما هستیم و شماره تلفن ما هستش 949-558-9852. این شماره تلفن دایرکت من هستش که من توی خدمتتان هستم. همیشه با من به تماس میتونین شوین و من درباره زیادتر معلومات میخواین. من به خدمت شما هستم. Mrs. Sandra, please say your phone number and the center phone number to the people gonna contact and getting a help from your very nice centers. And really, this is amazing for me to be here on the TV, and I'm so happy and I feel like I'm crying because this is going to be saving 1,000 and 1,000 of life of other kids to be with the needs of helping with the RX Learning Center. And I'm so pleased. Thank you so much for your time and for your kindness to come today and talking to me and helping millions of the people beside their TV. They are sitting and watching us today. And I'm so much thankful for that. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sandra.
Thank you so much for having me, Nahid. And I know you gave your phone number, and please feel free to contact her directly. Our center phone number is 949-262-0333. Thank you so much, and thank you again.
Thank you again. Thank you so much. شب و روزتان خوش باشه و خداوند براتون دعا میکنم که از این سنتر شما کمک بگیرین و بتانین که ما مزار خدمت شما همیشه باشم. خدا یار و مددگارتان. خداحافظ.